Listen up, get ready, I'm not gonna take no more. There's a revolution, a revelation going on in my soul. Buckle up, get ready, we're not gonna sit back.
Hey everybody, all you citizens of the world, welcome back to Live from the Heartland for the week of February 10th. And once again, I'm Michael James up here in the 49th Ward. And it always brings me a lot of pleasure to bring on someone who knows a lot more than I do. Hey, all you citizens of the world, welcome back for more Live from the Heartland for the week of February 10th in the year 2024. And again, I'm Michael James, your host today. And I'm bringing on two people. One of them has been on the show before, but both of them do great work in the community. They are the two people who have made possible the Roman Susan Gallery. And I am talking about Kristin Abhalter, if I said it right, and Nathan Smith. And they have a gallery, and we have learned that Loyola has now bought the building, and we're going to talk a little bit about that. Hello to you two.
Hello, how are you doing, Michael James? Good to see you.
We're good. Well, you've been running this little art gallery for a while, and it's named after, I think, Kristin's grandparents. And you really have, once again, created, along with Archie's, a wonderful history in the neighborhood in a corner that was not well developed or tended to for a long time. But it's really lively. It's been wonderful. Tell us a little bit about your current situation.
Sure. So in 2012 is when I started Roman Susan, mostly because I found this great little tiny storefront in this funny shaped building right behind the CTA. And I live really close by, and I have a history of being involved in theater design. And when I lived in Minneapolis, I was part of a collective art space called Art of This. And since I was a Chicago resident and I was going to art shows all the time, I thought, how come I have to bike across the city to find something fun to do? And I wanted something where I live. I wanted something close. And I feel like there's a legacy of great spaces in Rogers Park. And I thought there needs to be a space to celebrate and share the work of artists. And it wasn't exactly what I set out to do, but I feel like the space provided the opportunity, and the people I met involved with exhibiting their artwork have helped me create my life and helped us create our relationship. And we feel like we bring a lot of joy to people who get to see the work in our space.
Well, I've really gotten to like you guys a lot. I've been to a couple of events over there, and then you had one where we ended up talking to a group of other people, and then you did sponsor a book signing for my latest book on Rising Up Angry. You did that at Burger Park, but I really appreciate the effort. And I had been going by Archie's, and you weren't always open there. I didn't know that much about you, but Archie's turned out to be the closest thing to the late, great, beloved Heartland Cafe, which I was involved with for 36 years. And, she got a liquor license, and she has art on the walls, and they have an outdoor cafe, and they've got music going all the time and some great food. So between the two of you, and I think there's even another little storefront, it's been great. And Loyola tore down the building across the street. There's plenty of room to build. What do you know about their plans right now, or what's happening to you and to Archie's?
So,
Talk about that.
yeah, I can talk about that. So in late December, Loyola bought the building after a season of sort of leading up to it and closing on the sale. And we are optimistic and initially hopeful that the change in landlords could bring like real positive resources to the building, the people that live there, the, small businesses that have sprouted up. In the last week, there was an article published in the Loyola Phoenix by a student there named Haley Gates, and it reflected the current thinking of the university, which was that they intend to let everyone's leases end and then give non-renewal notice, and then when everyone's out of the building, they intend to tear it down. Um, we're hopeful that if they may have a change of mind, or at least a change of timeline. Currently, we have the longest lease in the building to September 2025. Other people's leases are up way sooner. Some people who have lived there for decades have already gotten notice that they need to be moving out in the spring. The university said it does not have plans for the land. So they're going to tear a building down that houses 30 households and these 3 businesses, and seemingly do what they've done all around it, which is leave it vacant. So we're hopeful that they could, it's a possible conversation in there. They have resources. There's different ways they could deploy the resources. Like in the last week, we reached out to them and asked them to consider having Lakeside Management, which is their real estate company, offer affordable housing to the tenants in the building that need to leave the affordable housing that's there, and to consider letting people whose leases are coming up, allow them to go month to month after it, and at least until our lease is up, because the person that we were talking to who got notice, they lived there for 24 years. They're asking them to move out in 4 months, but our lease is 15 months longer than that. So they're going to leave an empty apartment there. And that seems like maybe it's just an oversight, and we're hopeful that they'll consider, allowing people more time to make that transition. But that's sort of where it is right now.
Have you had a conversation with them, or does it look like you'll be able to do it anymore? And what would you need from the community in terms of like letters of support, petitions, any of that kind of thing?
We started the conversation with a message that we had sent to some of their departments. So we're circulating an open message, which is on our website, romansusan.org. So if you are considering writing a letter, individual letters are wonderful, but people can also sign on to ours and add their comments to it, and we will convey all of those.
How do they do that? How do people reach you?
It's on our website right now. So if you go to our homepage, it's on the front. Or
.org?
Yeah.
romansusan.org.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Yeah, before the show came on, or before we started recording, we have a situation where we have to be appreciative of a lot of stuff about Loyola, what it brings to the community. I've had my differences over many years, and of course, this show is its home base is the Loyola station, WLUW. So I hope they don't kick us off, but I think that they haven't been as transparent as we would like them to be. And I would just say that it would be a missed opportunity for them to do good in the community. We got a couple of minutes left. Any more thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think that it's basically, we know that things change, and we know that sometimes you've got to move on. But I feel like they do have values that seem to reflect wanting to serve the community. So we're basically just sort of like leaning on that and saying, hey, how about we figure out a way to maintain naturally occurring affordable housing in Rogers Park, and also maintain the diversity and culture and experiences that happen in this location, and also think about sustainability in terms of the environment and like what happens when you tear down buildings. And I think all those issues are really important to a lot of people right now. And if anybody has the money and the power and the resources to think about those issues creatively, it's a university like Loyola. And so it's, that's why we're raising our voices. We're artists. We don't solve problems, but we like to, we solve creative problems, and we care about design, and we care about our community, and we care about what happens and what has been able to happen because of this location and the people around it, because we really prioritize our engagements with people who live close to us.
Well, you know what happens in a lot of neighborhoods is when they get a little run down, and there was a time Rogers Park had elements of that. You do get a lot of kind of like hip businesses and artists moving in. That was certainly true in my own experience with the Heartland Cafe. And then as the more and more artists move in, that's kind of the advance guard for the gentrification. And we do see that here, in Rogers Park. People move here because it's real diverse. They like that. They don't necessarily like diversity in terms of class as much. Races, ethnicity is better. But then you have the growth of the Rogers Park business builders. And all these builders who are not from the neighborhood. I get calls for my property where I live. People wanted to buy it outright to tear it down. And it's like, this is an issue that a lot of people need to pay attention to, because while an institution like Loyola does lots of good, it also could do better if it paid more attention to the community. We got about 3 minutes left. Give us your best here.
Well, I think one thing that's really relevant to me is that in the experience of having the opportunity to run this space and meet so many people in the community and creative artists across the city, we've learned a ton. And I think that's a real opportunity for Loyola University. There are funny little storefronts here that are not perfect. One of them has been empty since maybe 6 months before they started to sell the building. Like, that would be an amazing student incubation project, because it isn't tailor-made for anything. You have to figure it out, and you've got to respond to the site. And I think that there's an opportunity to learn from responding to the site and not just raising things to the ground and starting fresh. And that's what we're hopeful for, that there's an opportunity for resources to go to the people that are already there, learning opportunities for students, and all that can happen without scorching or tearing out the grassroots of the community at the same time.
Nathan and Kristin, let me ask you, we're fans of our alderwoman, Maria Hadden. Have you spoken with Maria about this? Is she aware of it? Is she in any way stepping in as a broker or anything?
We have plans to meet with her, and I think that she is on our side. And I do think that, we've been supported by the city and by private funders to give us money for the entire time we've been a nonprofit, which is 2016. And we provide free programming. Everything in our space is free and open to the public. And that's a really important, one of the people who came to our space the other day was saying, it's really rare to find a place where I can go and do something social without having to spend money. And that, we do that. And we also have managed to figure out a way to pay artists to make their work instead of pay artists, or, instead of having them exist on an economy where their work has to be sold. And I think that, we're hoping to talk to Maria Hadden, Roberta, Maggie, and also have support from State Senator Mike Simmons, because his mom used to run the salon that was next door to Roman Susan and named the street after her. So Ramona Rouse Honorary Way. I think there is a lot of support behind us, and between Archie's community and the Roman Susan community and everybody in Rogers Park who values this resource, I think we can all work together to remind Loyola to be responsible and also be communicative.
Well, we hope so. And if people want to know more, they get a hold of you two. That would be Kristin Abhalter and Nathan Smith at the romansusan.org. Or is it Roman Susan? Just romansusan.org.
Yeah.
ROMANSUSAN.org.
Yep.
Come on, brother and sister. Thanks for coming on, and I'll come see you soon.
Cool.
Great. Thank you. It's great to see you.
Everybody else.